Hi, I'm David, and I'm going to discuss some of the pitfalls that come with starting a yoga practice that you may fall into as you begin your journey. So stay tuned and buckle up for a nice little 15-minute explanation on why you should watch out for specific things while you're starting your yoga practice. So let's go ahead and get started. If you would like further information, a little bit of a deeper understanding, feel free to check out our courses at SawYogaCourses.com. There's going to be a link right up top, so go ahead and click on that link. It should be right up here in this top corner. If it's in the left corner, then I apologize, but it should be right up here in this top corner. You can click right here, and it will take you right where you can go ahead and check out what we have. And at the end of the video, there's going to be a screen where if you wanted to jump in right now, we have a promo going on. It can take you right to the payment page and you can pay right then and there and get instant access to the yoga teacher training program. So if being a yoga instructor is something that you wanted to give a shot, it's a great job. It's a beautiful lifestyle. I definitely would recommend you go ahead and take an opportunity to check some of that out. And again, most people that do yoga teacher trainings do it so they can get a deeper understanding of yoga and their own practice and benefit a little bit more. So that might be something you're interested in. It certainly was the case for me. Go ahead and take a look into those options. So when you're starting yoga, you're going to hopefully enjoy it. You may not enjoy it the first or second class. You may enjoy moments of it. All this is very normal. In fact, for me, when I first did my first couple sessions of yoga, I really didn't get it. I didn't hate it, but it just seemed pretty easy. It wasn't until my second class where I realized I was sweating everywhere and the postures were a lot harder than I thought. Even though the second class I was much more able to do the postures. The first class I actually thought yoga was pretty easy. It wasn't until the second class where I think I committed a little bit more to taking it up a notch and finding the ways where I can challenge myself. Because if you're doing a plank position, which is like a push-up, and you're putting your knees down, of course it's going to be easier. And I wasn't necessarily doing that, but that's an example. Once I committed to giving myself a challenge, knowing that I can do some of these postures, then I realized how much fun it could be. And on top of that, I realized I can get a challenge. For the mere fact of a lot of power yoga is going to encompass body weight workout. We know from body weight workouts that they can be tasking, that it's a great way to get a good functional fitness workout. You look at programs like CrossFit and you can see the popularity with that. You see how professional athletes have been advocates of this too. So yoga can take that one step further and give you a little bit more of a spiritual, emotional, and physical aspect of it. It's not just the postures, which we call asanas. It's a mix of everything. It's a mix of a balance that should come with growth for you. So when I first started my yoga session, I thought it was all about postures. I didn't know it was going to be encompassing the emotional and spiritual aspect of it. When I mean spiritual, I'm referring to the lifestyle. I'm referring to making it a part of your routine. It didn't change my faith. I'm a Christian. It didn't change my beliefs. It did give me the tools to actually have stronger faith and stronger beliefs in what I already believed in. But the spiritual aspect of it, it became a holistic part of my daily practice. Even if you don't see me necessarily doing the postures daily, the interactions, the mindset I have and display, the processing I do throughout my emotions, that's all yoga based. And I continue to work on it every day. Sometimes in the car where I'm driving, sometimes in the shower, and then sometimes doing the actual asana postures on a mat outside or inside when I can get some spare time. So if you're like me, you may be confused initially of what yoga really is, and you might think it's just about the postures, just about these movements we do with our body. That is a part of it, but that is one of the 8 limbs. It's a 5th limb. We call it hatha, the asanas, but that is just one of the 8 limbs. Um, Also, what you want to keep in mind with these postures, when you're doing them, you really want to focus on breathing. The chi, what we are going to refer to in a lot of different types of holistic practice like Tai Chi or even in different types of massage, we have elements where we call the chi. In yoga, we call it pranayama. That's going to be the fourth limb of yoga, and that's going to be the breath work. We know from research that fresh oxygen helps transport blood, ATP, and nutrients through our cells and to areas of our body that may be experiencing pain or may need some sort of charge. Frequency and chi can help with that. And in yoga, we call that pranayama. So you're going to want to focus on the breath. You're going to want to focus on breathing as you do these postures. A good yoga instructor should help you with this, but if you're doing this at home, it can be a little tricky and it can take some time. So what I recommend, whether that's through me or even not through me, because ideally I want you to do it with or without us, but you're going to want to get information on the different ways to breathe. There's different styles of yoga that actually utilize different ways of breathing too. We have Ujjayi breathing, very masculine energy, very what's the word I'm trying to say? It's very heavily influenced on high high intensity, enter the mouth, out through the mouth. Breathe in, breathe out. Or through the nose. Inhale, exhale. You're going to see that a lot with Ashtanga yoga, which is a hot yoga style. It's a vinyasa that was created in Mysore, India by someone named Patabi Joyce. And Ashtanga yoga really focuses on heating up that endocrine system for you. It's going to be 90 minutes and you're going to be utilizing Ujjayi breath the whole time. So you're really going to heat yourself up. If I'm doing something more cooling like a meditation or restorative yoga, something called a yoga nidra, I'm probably going to breathe in through the mouth and out through the mouth because that's going to give me a form of breathing and a form of relaxation that's going to be more cooling than heating. So we're going to try to keep those aspects in mind as we work on some of these breathing tactics. There's different ways to breathe, but a good instructor should be able to guide you on that and should be able to help you. So you want to look out best you can for a good instructor to help you out with that. Okay. Besides breathing, you want to be aware of what's going on with your hormones and with your emotions and with your spiritual development, your feelings. This is stuff that you may not want to necessarily be involved in. I know for me, I didn't want to. I tried to run from it. In fact, I quit training a couple times to try to hide from it. But luckily, my teacher trainer was very patient with me. I did come back pretty quickly. I think I came back the same day or the next day, both times. But the point was I didn't want to go through the emotional aspect of growth. I wanted the physical aspect. I figured when I hit my 30s, I would focus on the emotional aspect of growth. But at that time, I just wanted to do flips off the roof like Batman. That was my goal. As I accepted what was happening, I was able to come back and really just understand that no matter if I continue to do the yoga practice or not, I've already started this trajectory. So I'm going to be focusing on those emotional aspects anyway. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. What it did, getting me the opportunity to do these emotional aspects, was give me the tools. And these tools help me process emotions much quicker. If I'm angry, I usually go through that anger and I feel the anger, but I go through it much quicker. If I'm sad, I feel the sadness, but I go through it much quicker. I pride myself on being a problem solver. So when I solve these problems, if I am stuck in a specific emotion, it makes it harder for me to use my logic to find the solutions. So I can get to a place of neutrality a lot easier and a lot quicker by doing the yoga practice. And a lot of people ask me, how are you able to just roll off the punches or this and that? Someone asked me yesterday about how I'm able to stay calm in the midst of some of this chaos that I might run into or someone else might run into. We all go through some stuff in life. And I tell them, really see yoga, gave me better tools that I have at my disposal I can use to keep my cool. And if you keep your cool, chances are you feel better. If you're not keeping your cool, you're probably going to suffer a bit. The goal of yoga is to help you not suffer, whether that's physical, mental, or spiritually. You don't want to suffer. The whole point is for a healthier you. You suffer, you're prone to being vulnerable. Your resilience is going to go down. Your cortisol levels, your stress hormones, going to go off. And you're going to be more prone for illness, more prone for different levels of suffering. So the idea of doing yoga is to physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually help you not to suffer. And a lot of that can be done just by doing these postures and just by breathing. You don't really have to try too much more than that. Just by doing these postures and breathing, it will help you get into a meditative state. So really try to make an effort to do some of these postures and to breathe. Another pitfall that seems to happen to a lot of individuals is not knowing what they can do, what they should do, and when they should do it. And that's a very good question to have. Let's start with what you can do. What I recommend is I recommend restorative or yin yoga, usually initially, so you can learn the postures and you cannot be too demanding on your body. If you're an athlete or you're relatively fit and you have some sort of history doing some of these postures, even if not in yoga, but in gymnastics, you were a dancer, you were an athlete, I would recommend Hatha yoga. Hatha yoga is a nice bridge in between. It's going to be a little bit more tasking than your yin, unless you're doing a really low level Hatha and a really high level yin. The overlap is going to be a little bit more on the Hatha side than yin. More often than not, yin's going to be a little easier, and restorative is going to be definitely easier than Hatha. Um, Again, that could switch up. You can do a level 3 type restorative, and it could feel a little vigorous. So you want to keep an eye on some of those, and are in the future have diagrams that I can show you about that, where you can see what some of those positions look like, where you're kind of upside down, postured on a chair, doing some of these positions, which are really fun, but they can be a little bit tasking in a different sort of way. Just by the openness of the body, the opening of the airways. Even though you're passive in some of these restorative postures, you're still positioned like upside down like a bat, and you're in a pretzel still, and some of that can be a little bit more rigorous than a very, very, very simple hatha. So we'll have to explore some of those possibilities. Um, I recommend though doing restorative or yin. And also, I would keep in mind the sun salutations. The sun salutations are relatively easy to do. You don't have to do them on the mat. You can do them like behind the chair. You can do them against the wall. You can do them across your knees. I recommend taking a look into the sun salutations, and that could be a really, really helpful way for you to get started. Okay. The next thing I wanted to address is when if you're going to do a workout, I would definitely do something like the sun salutations to warm you up. And that's when I would do it before the workout. Okay. If you are trying to recover from a workout, I would probably do something like restorative yoga. And I would do it after a workout to recover, to fight off the soreness that may come. And I would also do that restorative yoga at night to help you sleep before you go to bed. Me also before a workout, I would probably schedule a yin in instead of sun salutations at times if you wanted something a little bit more thorough for the hyaluronic acid, which is going to be like WD-40 between your ligaments, your joints, your bones. You're going to want to go ahead and lubricate yourself up with that hyaluronic acid from yin yoga, and it should help you with your range of motion, definitely immediately, but also long term. So keep that in mind. If you are pregnant, when you're pregnant, you have a hormone relaxin, which actually gives you a little bit more elasticity. You're going to want to be a little bit more careful with your yoga if you're pregnant because of that relaxin hormone. You don't want to tear anything. You don't want to overdo it. And a lot of times you realize your body's prepping for labor, so you're starting to get a little looser, particularly in the hips. So that's where for our pregnant women, we keep an eye on them, and I would recommend restorative for them in those situations. Okay, so that would be what, when, where. I would always recommend the yoga studios if you have the opportunity, because then you can have a watchful eye as a yoga instructor. As yoga instructors, our job is to keep an eye out for you guys and stay out of the way. It's your practice, you're in charge. Our job is to not mess it up, but we are kind of gatekeepers of health, and we want to make sure that you don't hurt yourself or harm yourself accidentally or by us. So our jobs are really to keep you safe and provide a safe environment for you to let go, for you to turn off your brain, not worry about what your kids are doing, not worry about what your spouse is doing, not worry about what your boss is saying, not worried about how your car is acting. You need to turn everything off for a minute And our job is to provide that space for you and also keep an eye on you so that you stay safe. Other than that, we want to stay out of the way. We want it to be less about us and more about you. And that's the role of a yoga instructor. So I would always recommend going to a yoga studio and just forgetting everyone's there and just making it your own and letting them create a safe space and then staying out of your way. If that can't happen, I would recommend doing it at home, somewhere quiet if you can. I know it's hard with the kids. It's certainly hard for me with my kids. Do the best you can, and that should give you some sort of ability to get some yoga practice in. So hopefully that answers some of these questions on how to avoid some of the pitfalls that you fall into as beginners in yoga. If you have any questions at all, please comment, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And we will be back with another video shortly. Thank you and be well.